Taoiseach, you mentioned under the framework for well-being that particular groups were being looked at, and also I know NESC did a report on building a new relationship between voluntary organisations and the state, and that included disability groups in that sector. Now, I just want to say that and this is repeating a point I made to you, I think yesterday or earlier in the week, is that in the area of disability, I think we are failing at many levels. COVID has sort of highlighted further, if you like, the deficit in supports and services for people with disability. And just to give you two examples I mentioned, but I really think it's urgent, the Accessible Community Transport Southside, which provides 1,200 door-to-door trips for people in wheelchairs and people with mobility issues, and is a membership, not a charitable, not-for-profit sort of voluntary group, are threatened with closure now because of the impact of COVID on their income streams and for the lack of about €50,000 in funding. This absolutely critical service for people with disability is faced with closure in the next 2 months. They're going to run out of funding. The Accessible Community Transport Southside. It's a door-to-door service for people who can't use public transport but are in wheelchairs or have significant mobility problems. Also, just to mention briefly, autism-specific residential respite services, a group that have been particularly hit in terms of, a lot of the day services were closed during COVID. There's a huge deficit, particularly in our area, of those services, and it needs to be looked at in a coherent, cohesive way.
Paul Murphy. Quickly on the leader, there's not a cut, and there won't be a cut. It's the same. If you take in the transition funding, which I think you're probably ignoring in your presentation, the allocation during the transition years. On the pandemic, I said earlier, Deputy Kelly, that we are keeping this under constant review. It's an economy-wide measure, EWIS, which has been very effective and very successful. About a quarter of employers are in the hospitality sector who benefit from EWIS, and about 40% of employees benefiting from EWIS are working in the hospitality sector. So it's economy-wide. We're going to keep this under very continual review, and I hear what you're saying. Deputy Boyd Barrett, again, I will check that particular individual service on the wellbeing framework is well documented. Equity, stakeholder engagement, and equality are very important aspects of a wellbeing and sustainability framework, and sustainability as well.